You could build a franchise up and around him. But remember, he's getting up in an age. And when they brought in Kevin Durant, it felt like cruise control. They could swap either way. But with Kawhi Leonard, you had Paul George in the building, he's gone. James Harden in the building, he's gone. You also had a couple of other impactful players up and off the bench. I just feel like with Kawhi Leonard, he feels a lot like a chess piece player that teams like a Milwaukee could use, a team like Boston could use, Denver. And so I'm not trying to disrespect Kawhi in this regard, but when I ended up saying about, building a team around, I can't build with a guy that's not going to be vocal on and off the court. That's where a lot of the challenges come from. All right, so joining us, played collegiate ball at Ole Miss, who just got close in the college football playoff, and also playing up in Wyoming. Collegiate corner JaKorey Hawkins is going to be joining us here up and on the program. Yeah. Oh, hold up. We're going to be getting JaKorey up and in here in just a moment, guys. But I'm excited about this one because I love to talk about the scouting combine, for one. Also, the college football state itself, especially with the NIL, and also what we should expect up and in from the draft. So it's I'm excited for this draft for a multitude of reasons. Defensive players, Ruben Bain and Caleb Downs, and even Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker. So there's a bunch of teams that I know are going to be fighting to go and get the best of the best players in their positions. So I can't wait for it. So as we wait for JaKorey Hawkins to come up back here, I think ultimately there is a bunch of teams that we know. Like right now, there are teams, and I actually looked at this with the offensive line because Cleveland right now has a lot of offensive linemen that I don't know if they're really going to have the money to keep up with it. So, all right, here we go. Joining us, JaKorey Hawkins. All right. So, the college football atmosphere, it was really different from this year because now a basketball program in Indiana has now turned things around with Kurt Signetti. But in one of the programs you played for, Ole Miss, I got to say, their ongoing conversation with Trinidad Chambliss and what they've been able to try to build there, I think Ole Miss is very competitive. Now, they're going to be without Lane Kiffin going to LSU, but I still feel that this is a team that, a lot of other programs in the SEC are going to be shaking things up. So when you look at how they closed the chapter from this season, Trinidad Chambliss, I would make the argument he would be a top 5, top 10 quarterback prospect that's going to be coming in when he's ready to declare for it. Like, what did you think about the season that Ole Miss put together?
I think that it was great. Just, be able to play, be a part of Ole Miss, playing that system before, just know how it goes. I think that they handled it pretty well, especially with Chambers coming up, stepping in, finish off the season extra strong, and them actually just making all the way to the playoffs. It was incredible to see.
Yeah, and I'm just curious though too of Lane Kiffin. So you kind of seen with how the program was built and what he's going to end up bringing to the table with LSU. I'll make the argument that this is the SEC. You're going to have a pipeline of very talented players, whether receivers, quarterback, or even defensive-minded players. So, but with Lane, I feel like with LSU, the quarterback is going to be the most important thing because you're producing really good wide receivers around that pipeline in the nation. Mm-hmm. And then on the other part, you got to have a very good offensive line to protect him and then have a defense to get after it which is why I felt like that fit with Brian Kelly at the beginning felt wonky because we know what he was bringing in Notre Dame. Being around Lane Kiffin, what do we expect, with LSU and what they'll look like for this next up and coming year?
I expect them to definitely be running up tempo. I noticed how practice was going at Ole Miss. That's how we practiced. That's how we played. Everything was up pace, and that's kind of that kind of gave us an edge over our opponents because you got to keep up with us, and we run RPO. So I think that combines with LSU with all the speed they have, they're gonna look good for this year.
So we know this week is the scouting combine, and a lot of my good friends that all do their respective work, and they also kind of do their little personal scouting for a lot of these players. You've been in this process, and it's a lot for an athlete because you're thinking of the IQ tests. You're also thinking of the certain drills and the times. What really goes into that? Because to me, not a lot of people, they feel very like infatuated with like the combine itself because it's like, well, you're watching future players, future stars coming in the NFL. But I always look at feet work, IQ, and then what they look at as far as detail, as if I'm picturing them in this type of schematic. And this is a defensive front loaded draft here, JaKorey. So this is going to be interesting to watch. But what's that feeling like when you're up in Indianapolis and you're getting geared? What goes through your mind as the player?
Well, unfortunately, I was not invited into that. I didn't get a chance to experience that. I just had got invited to rookie mini program camps back then, so I didn't know what the experience was like. But what I can say is just going through that process. I had leaned on my faith with my family and just trusted in stuff I've been doing as a kid. Just to make sure I'm preparing for them big time moments where you're doing the drills, you're doing the agility, you're doing the L cones, you're doing everything in the drills. Really just more to everything. You don't know what to expect. You gotta be prepared for everything.
So you played in both the SEC and in the Mountain West, and was there ever kind of a differential between talent wise when you think of how stacked the SEC is and the Mountain West? Because the Mountain West, you've got your Boise States, you've got Wyoming's, and you've got some San Diego States up and in there. There are some talented athletes in this conference, but I feel like that there's a lot of it that they can hit the ground and pound. They can get into shutdown type defenses, like even in corner or cover threes and such. So was there ever a distinction between the two that you felt like, you know what, I played in an SEC conference before and playing in the Mountain West? Was there ever like a point where you were like supporting your cast around you of like, hey, in this type of level that I'm at, this is how we kind of structurized everything? And what was that like for you to transition from those conferences? Was there ever a difference on those that you kind of felt playing wise?
From the talent wise, I could say, especially skill base wise, like receivers, the receivers was kind of like the same for me from SEC. You had your tall guys, you had speed guys. We had it, and actually the year I played, my last year, I ended up facing guys like Xavier Worthy and Donovan Mitchell. So I got a chance to get exposed to some real good NFL talented guys that year. High caliber, like you said, SEC caliber guys play. And actually hold my ground. And just that whole year was a great year. So the difference I can say from Mountain West to SEC is probably the altitude, because come from Wyoming, there's the highest altitude I've ever been in my life. And there's a complete difference. But I just looked at it to, kind of face something that I never done before. Like wanted to try something different, like altitude. I know it's in Denver. I was trying my best to show that I'm prepared for everything, in that process. So that's the only thing I can say the difference. But talent base wise, not with skill base. Pretty much everybody was flying around. I played Horton Tucker from Colorado State. All the guys. So talent base wise, some guys still like SEC caliber.
Yeah, no, that's the best, man. When you can face up against top tier, best talented guys, and especially going up on those one-on-ones, because that's always the exciting part, right? You go up against those one-on-ones of what are they mostly based on? Their speed, their creativity, and even just the ways of which they can win those one-on-one battles. That's always a fun thing. So I know the college football landscape has changed up a lot because the fact of the NIL and the transfer portal, to me, I feel like college football needs to have a CEO in this thing because you got to get the money to be consistent. And it's both for the sake of the players and even for the sake of the programs with the boosters involved because they're pouring the money into a lot of all of their alumni. And I know for some, they feel like, this is great because we're not seeing a whole lot of the powerhouses we were so used to seeing for like 10 years or so.
10 years.
And now you're seeing a lot of like the Indianas and a lot of the other programs now start to step themselves up. And then there's the college football playoff where you got 12 teams into this. And people complain about, well, Tulane and James Madison. And it's like, look, you still have to be able to be best in your program, but then also win the important games as a whole. So when you look at the college football landscape, I think if you make it consistent, get a CEO in the building to make that happen, I think it will better some things. I think it also kind of takes away a lot of the clutter that they're dealing with now. My other thing is that there shouldn't even be a conference bid period. It didn't matter. But for the group of the fives, I'm sorry to say, but you got to win out. That's the position that you're in. So how do you kind of see this in the next couple of years? And are there some things they kind of would need to tweak a little bit to make it for the betterness of the programs and the players?
For what I've seen that Deion Sanders, what he had down was the best way. I just seen, a coach kind of handle that. What I seen, he had if they late, kind of had them this.
Oh, I think we lost the connection there. We'll get back to JaKorey here up in a second. We just lost the connection up there with him, but all right, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I lost you for a little bit. Oh, like I was saying, like I was saying with Deion Sanders, I like the way he did. He kind of handled it. Had them if they late for things, they miss tutoring, they miss study hall because at this time it's a professional thing now. So these kids, they're getting paid all this money just coming right out of high school. So, you kind of need to give them that type of discipline, like, okay, if you're going to be getting this, you can't be late to here. Because I don't know what's going on in the programs, but I only can imagine. I mean, what the students are doing, the athletes. So I think that's the best way to handle it. From what I've seen, of course, it's still new. I know back then I ain't getting no NIL when I was at my last years. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, and it's a lot, man, especially when you got the endorsement deals, you got, the programs that just the coaches, they search out the players like we want you. And even the players, they love what the coach does with the culture aspect of it. So that does come into play. A fun question before letting you go. So we know that in 2 years from now, I mean, we just watched the Winter Olympics and I thought it was fantastic. But 2 years from now, we're going to have the Summer Olympics. And that's where the flag football teams now are going to be integrated into the Olympics. So to me, I look at it this way. We want the best of the best stars out there up and onto the field. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm curious. But I feel as though there has to be a balance between the NFL stars and even for the collegiate stars that are coming up and going into the NFL in the future. So when you look at this with this integration, is there anything that stands out to you in this predicament where I feel like it could better itself? This is the first year rolling this thing out on the carpet, and I mean, honestly, the women's flag football is so much fun to watch because they're competitors. But when you think about the men's side, is there a little bit of that clash where you got that NFL star and collegiate athlete, and how do you better balance it?
You talk about with them playing like professional, like all-star games with their like flag football. Well, I think that it's good for the health-wise just because it just saved that risk factor of them hurting their bodies, going through a whole season, of course, their body is their money. So, they still have to perform for their teams. And so I can see that aspect of things a while they'll do flag football for these type of settings. And just protect the body more so of just, constantly always hitting in these type of games, type of settings.
Love it, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming on by here, JaKorey. Love exactly all of your expertise, bringing it up and onto the show, man. Are you right now hitting up the phone lines? As of course, the draft is going to be defensive heavy, so there are some teams that are going to be calling up here in the next couple of months here. But has you made any phone calls or any of them that reached out to you yet?
Well, my process was 2 years ago. I'm just now coming back. I was teaching and coaching for the year. I took a year off, so I'm just now getting back in the process. And I did talk to coaches during that process. I'm kind of back in the mix right now. I'm doing arena football in Jacksonville, and they're starting. I got to head down there in March, so I'm pretty much getting geared up for that. Then I'm gonna see where it's gonna take me with this sports. So I'm pretty happy and excited and ready to get started.
There you go, man. Best of luck to you up and in Jacksonville, man. Enjoy the season. And hey, we'd love to see you back up and onto the pro field, my friend. And so appreciate you for coming on by, man. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will tell you, I mean, the college football atmosphere